حي على الفلاح.
The ruler of Yemen at that time was Dhu Nuwas. And Dhu Nuwas was a man who was corrupted in his beliefs. He had a lot of magicians that he used to employ in his court, and he used them to hold on to his power and his control over the people. So these Christians who went from Najran to Yemen, they practiced their religion secretly. His most powerful magician was getting very old. So he told Dhu Nuwas, this magician, he told Dhu Nuwas, he said, I'm getting old, and I don't know how much time I have left. I want to teach this witchcraft, I want to teach magic to someone so they can carry on my legacy after I pass away. So he agreed to this request from his chief magician, and he found a young boy who was very intelligent, who was very smart. So Dhu Nuwas selected this boy to learn magic from this chief magician. And this chief magician, he used to live on a mountain top. So Dhu Nuwas, the king, he sent this young boy to go learn magic from this magician. So every day, the young boy, he would walk from his home to the dwelling of the magician, which was on top of the mountain. So he would make this journey every day, going to the magician, learning magic, and then coming back to his home. Now on the way from the boy's home to the magician's home on the mountain, on the way, there was a dwelling of a monk, a Christian monk, one of those Christians who had come from Najran, who had settled in Yemen. So his house happened to be on the way from the boy's house to the magician's house. So when the boy would walk to the magician's house to learn magic, on the way he would pass by this Christian monk's house, and he would hear him reciting the Injil. And he became mesmerized by this, and he was very impressed with it. So on his way to the magician, he started stopping by the monk's house for some time and speaking to him and learning about Christianity from him. And then when he spent some time with the monk, he would continue on his journey to the magician's house on the mountain, and he would learn magic from the magician. So he was learning Christianity from the monk and magic from the magician at the same time. Now of course, he would spend some time with the monk learning the Injil, and then when he would go to the magician's house, he would be late. He would not be there on time because he was spending too much time with the monk. So the magician would berate him. The magician would punish him whenever he came late. He told the monk that this is what's happening. Now every day I'm coming to the magician's house and I'm late every day because I'm stopping on the way to speak with you. And whenever he sees that I come late, he punishes me. So the monk said to the boy, if you go late to the magician's house, just tell him that your family caused you to be late. And if you are late going back to your family's house, then tell them that the magician kept you late. And they don't find out about us. Just blame your lateness at the magician's house on your family, and blame your lateness back to your family on the magician. And don't say anything about me. You don't want the people to find out that you are coming and speaking to me and learning from me. So this continued for some time. The young boy, he would go and speak to the Christian monk and learn Christianity from him, and then he would go to the magician and learn magic from him. One day when he was on his way, on the road there was this big type of creature, and the people were unable to go past that creature. They were scared of it. So the young boy saw this as an opportunity to see who is actually teaching me the right thing. Should I follow the religion of this Christian monk, or should I continue with the magician? So he said, this beast in the middle of the road, this is a perfect opportunity for me to find out what the right path is. So he picked up a stone And he said, "O Allah, if the Christian monk is more beloved to you than the sorcerer, then kill this beast." And he threw the stone at the creature, and the creature died. So this was his proof. This was the proof that the boy asked for. And from that point on, he knew that the religion of Tawheed, the religion of Isa alayhi salam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone is worthy of worship, this is the true path. So he went to the monk and he told him about what happened. And then the monk told him, "Today you have become better than me. Today you are greater than me. But I fear that some trial will come to you now. So be aware that you may be tested." And this young boy, he became so close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him many miracles. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would cure blind people through him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would cure people who had the disease of leprosy through this boy, and other diseases as well. This boy would make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure these people, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would cure them. The people started talking about it, and the people came to know that this boy, people who go to him, he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for these needs, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers his dua. So there was one man who worked for Dhu Nuwas. He was in the royal court of Dhu Nuwas, and he was blind. And when he came to know about this boy, he thought that I can go to this boy and I can see again. This man who worked in the court of the king Dhu Nuwas, he went to the boy and he said that, "I hear that you cure people from blindness." And the boy said, "No, I do not cure anyone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who cures." And then he said, "Okay, what do I need to do to be cured of my blindness?" He said, "You need to believe in Allah. Believe that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone worthy of worship without any partner." He said, "Okay, I believe in Allah." Then the boy made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cure this man of his blindness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cured him, and the man could see again. Now, as we said, this man, he worked in the royal court. He was always with the king. So one day he sat in his normal place in the court of the king, and the king saw that his blindness was cured. So he asked him, "How did your eyesight come back? How are you able to see?" And the man replied, "Allah cured me." So the king was surprised at this. "What are you talking about? What is this new thing that you're bringing up?" So he started to ask him questions about where did he get this new belief. This man remained silent. He wouldn't tell the king. He wouldn't tell him anything. He didn't tell him about the boy. But the king continued to torture him until finally he told him about the boy. So then the king, he knew that this is the same boy that I was sending for magic. So he called for that boy to come in front of him. And he said to him, "You have learned so much magic now that you are able to cure people of blindness and leprosy?" And then he said, "No, it's not magic, and it's not me who is curing them. It is Allah. It is Allah alone who is curing them." So then the king became very angry, because this is the boy that he selected to go learn magic from the magician, and instead he learned Tawheed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is granting him miracles through this belief. So he became very mad at the boy, and he said to the boy, "Who taught you this?" And the boy refused to speak. He wouldn't say anything about the monk that he was learning from, until he was tortured so much that finally he said, "I learned this from such and such Christian monk." So the king ordered for that Christian monk to be brought in front of him. And he said to him, "Renounce your religion right now." And the monk refused. He said, "I will not renounce it." The king ordered for him to be executed by bringing a saw and cutting him in two pieces. And this was witnessed by the boy and by the man who worked in the court of the king who was cured from his blindness. They both saw this happening. Then he took that man who worked in his court, the man who was cured for blindness, and he said the same thing to him, renounce this religion. And the man refused. He said, I will not renounce it. So he ordered the same thing to be done to him. So he was sawed in half. So the king thought that, okay, he's going to see this. So he said to the young boy, now you renounce your religion. But the boy, he remained firm on his iman, and he refused to renounce the religion of Isa alayhi salam. So the king ordered for his execution. Take him on the top of a mountain and throw him down from that mountain. So he sent his men with this boy to the top of the mountain. So they're at the top of the mountain and they're about to throw him down, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala causes a big earthquake to happen. Right at that moment, a big earthquake happens, and all of those people, the king's men, they fall off the mountain, but the boy is safe, he's okay. And he goes back to the king. And the king is surprised to see him. He said, what happened? What happened to all of the people? How are you back here? Where are they? And then he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved me from them. So the king was very angry now. He's very upset. He gathered another group of his men and he said, go take him into the deep sea and throw him in the sea. So a group of the men, they took a boat and they took the boy and they went deep into the sea. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused the waves to become very powerful and strong, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused those people who were in that boat to fall out of the boat, and they fell into the water and they all drowned except the boy. He survived and he came back to the king again. Now the king is very shocked and surprised, and his men are the ones who are dying instead of the boy dying. And this shows us a lesson that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gives life and the one who causes death. So the boy actually gives the king a suggestion. I will tell you the only way that you can possibly kill me. So Dhu Nuwas says, okay, tell me, what should I do? What do I need to do to finally get rid of you? So he said, you need to gather the people. All the people have to witness this. Gather the people and tie me up to the trunk of a tree. And then take an arrow from my quiver, and just before you're about to shoot me with it, say, Bismillahi Rabbil Ghulam. Say, in the name of Allah, the Lord of the boy. So the king is desperate. The king really wants to get rid of this boy. So he says, okay, I'll do it. So he gathers all of the people. He ties the boy to the tree. The arrow is taken out of the quiver. He says, Bismillahi Rabbil Ghulam. Now think about this. Everyone is watching this. And these people who are witnessing this, they know about the attempts on this boy's life. And he wasn't able to do it. Now when he says, Bismillahi Rabbil Ghulam, in the name of Allah, the Lord of the boy. And then he shoots the arrow and it hits the boy in the head and the boy dies. But everybody witnessed that the king had no power, but once he said, in the name of Allah, the Lord of the boy, so that flicked the light on in the minds of the people. They said, look, this king has no power. It is Allah alone, the Lord of this boy, who is able to do all things. So once they witnessed this, all of them said, we believe in the Lord of the boy. And all of them accepted Christianity. They became Christians. They accepted the deen of Isa alayhi salam. Dhu Nuwas's plan backfired on him. The people plan and Allah plans, but Allah is the best of planners. So the people became Christians. They accepted the deen of Isa alayhi salam, and the boy, he sacrificed himself in order for the people to be guided to the truth. The king is very mad now, and he's so upset that he's losing control over his people. So he orders his army to dig deep trenches, and he fills those trenches with fire. And then he gathers the people, all of those people who witnessed what happened with the boy, who became Christians. He said to them, either you renounce your religion or be thrown into these trenches of fire. They stood firm. They held firm to their religion. Then the turn came for a woman who had a young baby with her, who was still nursing. She had rahmah, she had some feeling of mercy for that baby. So when it came her turn to be pushed into that trench, and she was asked, do you renounce your religion? So she hesitated a little bit. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused that baby to speak to his mother. And the baby said to the mother, don't worry, mother, hold firm, you are on the truth. So that gave her a boost of iman, and she said, no, I do not renounce my religion, and she was thrown. And it is said that Dhu Nuwas 20,000 people in one day by throwing them into these trenches. And this story is mentioned in Surah Al-Buruj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ النَّارِ ذَاتِ الْوَقُودِ إِذْ هُمْ عَلَيْهَا قُعُودٌ وَهُمْ عَلَى مَا يَفْعَلُونَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ شُهُودٌ وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ إِلَّا أَن يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَمِيدِ. And Dhu Nuwas and his army and his men were just sitting and watching these people, and they were witnessing this evil act. And the only reason that they did this to them is because they believed in Allah, the Most Mighty and the Praiseworthy. One man was able to escape, and his name was Dhu Tha'laban. He was a Christian who witnessed what happened with the boy, and he accepted Christianity, but they were not able to push him into the trench of fire. He jumped on a horse and he escaped. So he went all the way to the emperor of Sham and told him about what happened. He told him that Dhu Nuwas did this to the people for believing in Christianity. So when the emperor of Sham heard about this, he sent a letter to the Najashi of Abyssinia, the king of what is now known as Ethiopia. And that was a Christian kingdom. How do you think he felt when he knew that Dhu Nuwas 20,000 Christians? Of course, he became very angry. So he sent an army from Abyssinia to Yemen to take control from Dhu Nuwas. So the Najashi of Abyssinia, he sent an army to Yemen, and the leaders of this army were Aryat and Abraha, and they were able to take control from Dhu Nuwas. And Dhu Nuwas tried to flee, he tried to escape, but while he was trying to escape, he drowned and he died in that way. Abyssinia took control of Yemen. If you remember, we said that Rabi'ah ibn Nasr, he had a dream that the Abyssinians would take control of Yemen. Do you remember that? And this is what happened. This is how the Abyssinians took control of Yemen. They came to take revenge for what was done to those Christians under the army of Abraha. And they remained in control of Yemen for about 70 years.